let's get into the skill tree. So we just put 2 into Firebolt. You won't need it. As you can see right now, we already have 21 points into Firebolt. Go ahead and just pump 5 more in there. Go ahead and get Enhanced Fireball and then Destructive just for that crit damage. Going to want to get Potent Warding just because of that 10% added resistance. So what will be nice about this is you're going to see cold, fire, and lightning resistance all go up by 10, and that is going to help you hit your thresholds of resistance. So 70 is the cap. We're hitting the cap on all of these. So we can't do poison, we can't do shadow, but we will do cold, lightning, and fire constantly. So you'll see all of these go up to 80%, and the cap is 85%. Unfortunately, we're not rocking anything that gives us additive resistance, but the potent warding will give us that extra 10%, so that'll be nice. And back to skill tree, go ahead and put elemental dominance just to get that 12% multiplicative damage. I like to put 1 into elemental attunement to get one of your defensives back free every 10 seconds, and then I go with teleport, I go with enhanced, and I go shimmering just for that damage reduction. I'm going to go ahead and take all 3 of glass cannon. We're going to take ice armor. It's going to work well with our aspects later, which you will see. Then we take enhanced, and then we take shimmering just so we can get that cooldown reduction, because you're going to be constantly sending out fireballs, and you're constantly using 50 mana, and you're going to get this back. You're damn near going to have 100% uptime on your ice armor, which is nice because we get unstoppable from ice armor, which gives us even more damage from our pants. Going down, we're going to go to conjurations, get ice blades, enhanced ice blades, summon ice blades. Go ahead and get first rank of align the elements just so we can get 3 ranks of protection. We're going to take lightning spear, enhanced, and invoke just for stuns. All 3 conjuration masteries, all 3 mana shields. Going to take familiar. We're going to take enhanced familiar, and then we're going to take invoke familiar for that 10% increased damage. Now you come down to here, you can see we already have 2 ranks in devouring blaze. That comes from our amulet. We're going to put 3 into inner flames and 3 into devouring blaze, and then I like to put 3 into crippling flames just because we're going to constantly be healthy, and 42% chance to immobilize is really high. So basically we're going to be immobilizing them constantly. We'll come down to the ultimates. We're going to take permafrost just so we can take 3 ranks of horror frost for that 9% multiplicative damage. We're going to take 1 rank of fiery surge just so we can take 3 ranks of soulfire. We will be standing still in the hordes just because we stand in the middle, especially if you're playing with spiritborns. They're going to be running around. You can stay in the middle of fireball, will pretty much reach the entire arena. You can kill everything and advance your way through there. We're going to take 1 of coursing currents for 3 of electrocution just because we like that 18% less damage, and then we are going to get enlightenment. And then this last one, you can put in warmth, you can put in endless pry. I don't really care for the burn damage. For me though, I'm going to go ahead and just put it in barrier increase. Now let's assign all of these. You don't need firebolt because we are going to be lighting everything on fire. So what I like to do is I like to run Frozen Orb in my first enchantment slot just so I can apply chill to use that horror frost, and then I like to use ice blades just so I can help make everything vulnerable. Now of course we're going to run firebolt, we're going to run lightning spear, and then get familiars in here, and then I just like to put my 2 defensives on the left, and then your 3 conjurations right here by firebolt. Now the gear, this is the gear I'm using in Torment 4, but really I want to show what I use to get here. For the helmet, I'm using a mythic helmet, the Air of Perdition, which I believe is new to Season 6. You can read it right here. I mean, the 60% additive, the 200% damage to angels and demons, and the 5 core skills. There's a lot of damage coming from this. And for Tier 4 to do consistent damage and to be able to take on all Torment bosses, to be able to do the speed runs in the Undercity, do Pit level 65 and higher, I think this is a must-have, as well as Starless Skies. But I didn't have either of these to get here. I was actually using a 750 item power legendary ring with Perplex Round on it, which is additive damage while ice armor's up, which you have ice armor all the time. And then I was using the Godslayer, which you can easily get from Torment 1 and 2 boss runs. You'll get several of these actually. You get cooldown reduction, you get max life. I mean, these are really good pieces even if you're a ways away from these mythics. But once you get into Torment 4, I do think the mythics are necessary. I think a normal fireball build falls off a lot once you get into Torment 4. You're definitely going to need to farm the bosses, complete the seasonal journey, get your cash, which gives you free spark, kill Uber Lilith if they fixed it by this time, because I know killing Uber Lilith for the first time is supposed to give you a spark. For a lot of people it wasn't. I got my spark 2 days after I killed her, so hopefully that's changed for everybody and they're getting them now. But point is, for Torment 4, the Heir of Perdition and the Ring of Starless Skies, I think, are must-haves. One, because of the incredible amount of damage that they bring to core skills, and two, they both are going to make you crit every single time. You can see the resistances are all maxed out. These will all go up to 80 whenever we start using our skills. These ones only stay at 70. You can see I'm at 98.9. Matter of fact, I am 1 away still on Masterwork. That crit chance will go up to 30. I'm 4 away on Masterwork, so that crit chance, which is my greater affix, will probably go up 20, or I'm going to get 100% crit chance. So you're going to crit every time, and you can see it right now. I basically am critting every time. You're talking about 98%, so you're not going to have to worry, because you're also getting crit damage from your gloves. So those are the uniques. If you don't have them, just go get the ice armor damage on a standard ring, put some crit chance, put some critical strike damage on it. It'll be good enough for Torment 1 through 3. Torment 1 through 3, you can pretty much run whatever you want on the helmet. But when you get Torment 4, definitely farm these bosses and definitely get your seasonal journey done so you can get these mythic. I got this one from, I believe, Duriel, and I got this one by crafting it from the seasonal journey in Uberlith. Continuing on with the uniques, you have to have the gloves of the Illuminator because of the bouncing, the mana, the fireball, the crit chance. So this is a must-have. The staff is a must-have. I personally think you should get the Ragnoth's Wake, which you get from the Infernal Hordes. Just farm Infernal Hordes. These boots will drop for you so much. Tibot's Will is such a popular drop. It also drops from Zir quite often. And then Vashon drops Tower Ashes. Tower Ashes is a must. Illuminators are a must. Endless Rage is a must. Tibot's Will and Ragnoth's Wake are not a must, but I think you should run them just because the added damage. And I'm only running 2 legendary aspects. One of them is to make me unstoppable for Tibot's Will on the ice armor, plus that 25% damage reduction. The other one is to get that multiplicative 108% critical strike damage on your fireball. Make sure when you're doing this that, depending, I'm in Torment 4. Torment 4 has some pretty crazy debuffs to your resistances and your armor, so just make sure you're hitting your thresholds of 70%. You're really going to want that 70% minimum for your resistances, because poison, you will die so fast if you don't have that, as well as the 1k armor. I'm actually over armored, but that's because I don't have a need for anything else on my jewelry, so I just put 2 skulls on it. And for your gems and runes, I will show you what I use. You can use whatever you think's best, but I'm going with the Grand Topaz in the helmet. Give me 2 of those to give me that bonus 120 intelligence. For the chest piece, I like to put the Neo. It's just applying damage when you haven't taken damage for 2 seconds. Gives you 200 offering. It's a lot of offering, and this one will go off quite often. And to match that, I like to put that with the Warcry. Now, the Warcry has a 2-second cooldown. The offering has a 2-second cooldown. So really, you're going to get Warcry every 6 seconds doing this. And it lasts for 6 seconds. So I like to pair the Ohm with the Neo. Get that 200 offering from not taking damage for 2 seconds, so over 6 seconds you'll get that 600. The Warcry lasts for 6 seconds, so you'll just have 2 seconds in between each Warcry for that cooldown where you won't have it up. So you'll constantly see this up, you'll constantly get that 15% increased damage. So I put those 2 together, and then I like to use the Yule to get the 50 offering whenever you have a cooldown. You're constantly setting off your conjurations, they constantly come back. We have a lot of cooldown from the boots, we got some cooldown from the ring, and the ice blades are going to continuously give you cooldown. So this will go off often. It doesn't go off quite as often as the Neo and the Warcry, but you will see these 2 work together well, and I like to pair with Petrify. It's just another added bonus to damage, and it stuns the enemies. And honestly, what helps this build out a lot is any kind of stun you can get, or any kind of CC you can get, because if they can't move, they can't hurt you. And up here in Torment 4, with the changes to the armor and changes to the resistance and the changes to the reses, they're doing a lot of damage, and at least for Sorcerer, you're going to feel some of that. So now to the jewelry, we do need to hit the 1,000 armor cap, which we can do with a 1 grand skull, just based off of what I have, because I have total armor on here, I have total armor on my amulet, I have total armor on my chest piece. If you don't have that, you can run 2 grand skulls or maybe a royal skull, but then what you're going to want to do is run the grand diamond just to make sure that you're getting all of your resistance in. And then I'd probably rock a 2nd diamond. I don't have one right now. It's really, the jewelry is really up to you. Just wherever your armor is and wherever your resistances are, that's what you'll decide what goes in the jewelry. Now, just for the two-hand staff of endless rage, you're going to go ahead and get that extra 72% critical strike damage. You're going to get 2 of those in there, and that's for your gems and runes. Now, to show you how this works, the way I like to start off every fight, because the familiars will always take the element of your last conjuration, I like to open up with Lightning Spear, then hit all 3 familiars, just because there's a 100% chance that they're going to stun the enemy. And then after that, just hold down all your conjurations and your fireball, hit your ice armor, and just watch your numbers pop up. Now, you have to pay attention to your key passive. You can see that number going down right now. It's important to alternate your skills because of how it reads. So Enlightenment, casting a skill only gives you 1 stack. You have to get to 100 stacks to get all the bonuses. But every time you alternate, you get 15 stacks. So you fire a fireball, you send out a lightning spear, you go back to a fireball, you send out ice blades. You will just see how fast you get to those 100 stacks, and then you get your attack speed, you get your damage. Mana regen doesn't really matter because the gloves of the Illuminator are giving you 3 mana per fireball exploding, and they're bouncing across the ground. Mana will never be a problem, but that attack speed and that damage is a big deal. Now you see all my bonuses above my skill board. I go ahead and shoot fireball. We have 1 stack of Enlightenment. We go ahead and hit Lightning Spear. We're at 16, 31, 46, 61, 76, and now we take off as it counts down. You try to get your Warcry off, you get your Petrify off, and if you can get Petrify, Warcry, and Enlightenment all to happen at the same time, and then hit your Ice Barrier to get Tibolt's Will to fire off and get that extra 20% for being unstoppable. But aligning those 4 things up, getting your Enlightenment to hit when you get your Petrify to hit, when you get your Warcry to hit, and then when all of those hit your Ice Armor so that you're unstoppable. So you're getting all 4 of your buffs all at once, and you can put out the most damage possible. And the last thing, the Paragon Board, we'll just start from the bottom. All my glyphs are 45 plus, so just keep that in mind when it comes to Paragon. You just do this at your own rate. You might run a few different glyphs, but I personally think that these 5 glyphs are the best glyphs for Sorcerer, and you'll use them in pretty much any build you decide to use. Starting from the bottom first, so I go up and get that non-physical damage. Go up here, get that resistance. If you need more, get more. Max life, come up all the way up through here. Go ahead and grab Unleashed. And then our first board is going to be the new board, and I think the mandatory board for every sorcerer, and that is Fundamental Release. I go ahead and I go creep up the right hand side here. I go ahead and put in Tactician just to boost these. Now again, this is level 45, so I'm getting my dexterity by simply leaving. So you might have to grab a couple of these while you're leveling up your glyph. You come up here, go grab your Fundamental Release, and then I go and grab some more resistance and damage to burning enemies. The order is important. The order is important because every time you put on another board, the bonus requirements get higher. So go in this order. We go to the right and we go ahead and grab Searing Heat, which is important for this. We're going to go down to the glyph spot. We're going to put in Flame Feeder. Go ahead and grab all the dexterity you can because it's all additive damage to burning enemies. And then you're going to creep up the board. Go grab this. By time you're level 300, you're easily going to hit that 1600 intelligence threshold. And specifically why this board comes third, because if it's 4th or 5th, that intelligence is well into the 2000s, and it's probably unattainable by that point. And we're definitely going to want that extra 20% fire damage. Anyway, you're going to walk up this, go all the way up and grab the legendary node for Searing Heat, just for that extra 60% multiplicative. Go back to Fundamental Release, go down the left side, go ahead and pick up some of that damage reduction from Vulnerable, and grab the Burning Instinct board. When we get to level 300, I could grab this. I probably won't. I'll probably just go grab all the damage and damage reduction because we're not doing damage from burning. We're doing burst damage with critical strike damage. The reason you want the Burning Instinct board is not only because of the damage to burning and the critical strike damage, but because the glyph spot on the Burning Instinct board has the most dexterity spots for you to get. And that's important because this is where you're going to put your destruction glyph. And of these 5 boards, because you can only do 5 boards now with the update, this glyph spot has the most dexterity. You put this one on next so that your willpower, because you're going to struggle to get willpower, because dexterity helps with crit chance, intelligence helps with our skills. Willpower is not something we're building into a lot, so you're going to want to put this board third to make sure that we hit the bonuses on the willpower. Same for dexterity, but we will hit dexterity. And then anyway, you come through here, you put in the glyph of destruction, and then right now I'm creeping up here to get my burning damage. I'll eventually go up here to get damage reduction from burning, and probably get damage reduction from elites later. And then your 5th and final board, which is unfortunate because now you can only have 5 boards, is a must though, is Frigid Fate, just so you can get that extra vulnerable damage. You'll easily hit this 60% multiplicative damage with all the non-physical damage you'll be picking up. And you come down here, and your last glyph is going to be the Elementalist. I think these are the 5 best glyphs for Sorcerer. You can plug and play them into any Sorcerer build. They just do the most work for you. And with that, I think that depending on what build you're running, you're pretty much always going to run a Frigid Fate board. You're always going to run this new board, the Fundamental Release. And then personally, I would always run the Burning Instinct board just because of the dexterity in the glyph area. But that's the Paragon board. Yeah, so that's the build. You're going to want to make sure you're doing your CC in the right order. Pay attention to your buffs. Try to get them all aligned to maximize your damage. But overall, you're going to be doing so much crowd control between the chance to instantly freeze, between your lightning spear constantly stunning enemies as it goes around critting them, and then your crippling flames at 42%, you're going to be immobilizing them all the time. And on top of all of that, Petrify is going to go off and stun the enemies, and you're going to get even more additive critical strike damage to that. So this has many buffs. It has a lot of moving parts. It's not quite as brainless as Lightning Spear was last season, but it's a lot of fun, especially because you're constantly just going to see fireballs bouncing all over the screen. It's a lot of CC, and it's something different. It's probably not the most meta build. I'm currently working on a Frozen Orb Splintering Energy build for these 2 mythics, just because I think I can get Frozen Orb to do a lot of damage too. I did want to make a video for this because this is how I got to Torment 4, and it was pretty easy doing it. The Fireball build has always been pretty strong. I know that Splintering Energy and the Fractured Winter Glass has kind of dominated this game since it released, but it's fun to do a little bit different builds, and I'm going to keep messing around. Hopefully have an Axel Conduit build coming out, especially with the fun new aspect. Elemental Constellation mixed with the Chain Lightning build could be a lot of fun. A lot of big number potential here. This build can hit into the billions. You're going to consistently be hitting 200, 300 million, 500 million. No, it's not Spiritborn, but nothing compares to Spiritborn right now. But this is a fun build. It's going to get you to Torment 4, and if you can get those 2 mythics, it can easily handle all of Torment 4's content. I'm going to be doing more builds like this. If you like videos like this, like and subscribe. If you don't, well then, thanks for stopping by anyway. I'm going to get back to Diablo. Thanks for watching. Deuces.